US President-elect Donald Trump's return to the White House is just a day away. In a rare historic moment, his inauguration lands on the same day as America's national holiday, commemorating Martin Luther King Jr. Georgie sat down with the youngest daughter of the civil rights leader.
Only 5 years old when her father was assassinated.
Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
Dr. Bernice King has dedicated her life to his legacy.
I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
A legacy that weighs heavier now than ever before, as a symbol of division and a symbol of unity collide.
Dr. Bernice King, as history would have it, Trump's inauguration is actually falling on the national holiday that honours your father. How does that make you feel?
I'm glad that it occurred on the national holiday. Otherwise, it would have been a day full of the inauguration and full of, Donald Trump, whose first 4 years was tumultuous and really frightening for a lot of people. This gives us an opportunity to see the contrast, to experience the contrast, and to really look at who we ought to be as a nation.
Well, who ought we be?
Well, I think we should be a little bit more compassionate and thoughtful about who we are, and we should work together collectively to create a world where everyone can share in the wealth of the world, where people's dignity and worth is respected, and where justice is a reality for all.
I believe that what self-centered men have torn down, men other-centered can build up.
You were just 5 years old when your father died, and I know that I've heard you say it before, the world lost a prophet. Others have called him that as well. But at the heart of it, Martin Luther King was your dad. What was he like as a father?
So he would come in from traveling, and I would run up into his arms, and he'd say, okay, we're gonna play the kissing game today. And then each one of us had a spot on his face. My 2 brothers were on either cheek, I was on the forehead. My sister was off to the side of the mouth, and my mother was smack dead in the middle of the mouth. And he called it sugar spots, and I would smack him right in that spot. I just remember him being fun-loving and just a very gentle man. Sometimes he would want to dribble the basketball in the house just to play. And it was as if he was not carrying the cares of the world. When he got with us, it was like his refuge.
Refuge, that's the word, because I feel like from an outsider looking in, there's a lot of Americans who could use their own kind of refuge right now. We always hear about the United States, but it seems more divided than ever. What do you think your father's message would be for your country right now?
I don't always like answering those kind of questions just because he's not here. I always like to just refer people back to his messages because, my father gave us this kind of perspective and view that we live in this large world house in different rooms of the world house with all of our diversity, and we have to find a way to live together.
We must learn to live together as brothers, or we will all perish together as fools.
That's the lesson today. Every day we wake up, we should think about, is what I'm doing helping us to learn how to live together, or is it pulling us further apart? That's the biggest message for me from him.
You talk about Donald Trump's first presidency as being tumultuous. That was the word he used to describe it. What do you think his next presidency will be like?
Who knows? He could surprise us. He could do some things that will be beneficial to the nation. But I like to say, let's not give him too much airtime. Let's realize that the responsibility for moving our nation forward and moving any nation forward is the responsibility of the people to make sure that we are constantly cultivating and protecting our freedom, justice, and democracy, and doing it in the spirit of nonviolence.
It's about relationships, right? And that relationship between Australia and America has always been there, it's always been strong. But what is this that I hear about your relationship to Australia maybe being even deeper on a personal level?
I visited Australia, Sydney to be exact, and something started stinging me, and I got bit by a blue bottle. And I was hitting it and trying to get it. It was wrapped around my ankle, and I was trying to get it off. And when I finally got disconnected from it, a gentleman, an Australian, came over and said, hey, you need to go get in the cold shower quickly because it could be very dangerous. So I was like, oh my God, he saved my life. So an Australian saved my life, and that's why I'm sitting in this chair today doing this interview.
Oh, see, we are always happy to be a little part of your story. Dr. Bernice King, it was really wonderful to chat.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So interesting, the contrast that the colliding of these two dates provides, and that idea of that message of celebrating other-centred people and joining together as brothers, very different to what Trump represents. And I know there are a lot of people that are pro-Trump, a lot of people that are really fearful of the next 4 months. Exactly, so the next 4 years. So I guess it all now begins, and we get to see if, for people who think it's concerning, like, is it as bad as they fear? Who knows?